you the BMR low profile jacking rails. I've had these things for about a year sitting in the box. I totally forgot I even had them, and I never put them on the car. So I'm going to just shoot a quick video explaining to you why I have these. The reason I got the lower profile, being that this car is so low, and with the other wheel and tire package it sits another inch lower, if you're going down a long driveway, you will bottom out over here. It'll scrape the hell out of the bottom of the car, and just causes a little bit of a problem for ground clearance, which is why they came out with these. And a common misconception that a lot of people think is that when they put these jacking rails in the car, that there's going to be enough meat on both ends to put your jack stands. But realistically, that's not true unless you get the full-length jacking rails. Now, Steeda made the shorter rails because they have chassis braces for the rear subframe and everything else that would interfere with a full-length jacking rail. Steeda and BMR, they're both good companies. They both really have a different core of what they do. Like Steeda makes hundreds of parts. BMR selects a handful of products, and they really specialize and really do the best job that they can in that specific segment. And I like I said, that's just two different companies. They have two different market shares as far as what they do. And they're both great guys, but to be honest with you, BMR takes a little bit more time bringing products to market, and they're fabricators, they're racers, they're more of a hands-on type of team that I found over the years. They're both located in Florida, different parts of Florida. One's in northern part of Florida, one's in South Florida, but they do things a little bit differently. And like I said, the Steeda rails are a lot lighter, they're a little bit shorter, they hang down a little bit lower from the car. And these are made out of, extruded steel. They're heavy. They're probably about 6-7 pounds each. They're powder coated gloss red, which I like. The Steeda powder coating is not very, very good according to experience. They tend to chip and rust really quickly. And I just want to show you guys something here, and this is important. Being that I'm a fabricator and I build stuff for a living, the weld quality all along here, the way they cap off this tube, it's done really, really nicely. You could tell that it's done with a TIG welder. It's not done with a MIG welder. There's no slag. A lot of companies make stuff and there's slag and then they powder coat over it and you could feel it. So this is done really nicely. Then inside here, these are round inserts and they're all TIG welded all the way across. Okay, so if you guys know about fabrication, TIG welding takes a hell of a lot more time, a lot more setup. Your part fitment has to be pretty precise. You can't have big gaps if you want it to come out good. So it's just a little bit more legwork to jig this up and to do all of this. Another thing I like too about the BMR, they have the slot here and they're reusing the OEM hardware that's already on the chassis. Now, Steeda gives you a hardware kit, which is just cheap zinc or CAD plated bolts. And if you watch my video I posted about rust and stuff like that, the stuff just doesn't last. It rusts almost immediately. The OEM bolts are far better as far as corrosion resistance. It has a really nice conical seat, and you just can't go wrong. So I'm going to throw these on the car now. I'm going to move the camera underneath the driver's side rocker area. I'm going to slide a jack in there. I'm going to show you guys why this is a really good upgrade to do in your car. These are 129 bucks. Like I said, they're really affordable. Their full-length kit is a little bit over 200 bucks, but it really depends what you guys want. Either way, you can't go wrong. It's just one of those things that, you second guess it, you think you need it, but to be honest with you, if you're working your car, if you're doing brakes, suspensions, tire rotations, exhaust work, whatever you want, and you don't want to crush the bottom of your lower skirt, you got to get a set of these. So let me move the camera over and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Guys, we're under the driver's side rocker area, and I just want to show you, from the factory, the designated jack point in the rear is here with this little cutout section, and this is where you would primarily put your jack stand, okay, right here. Okay. And now if you look at the way the skirt is on the GTs and all the models, it really is flush with the pinch weld area, and that's what becomes a little bit of an issue, is when you go under there with a jack, if you don't have the jack specifically in the right area, you're going to start crushing the plastic. Now, having the jacking rail come down just a little bit, it doesn't have to be much, you're going to be able to keep the jacking pad on the jacking rail and not damage your side skirt. And that's really the whole purpose in how these are designed. So let me just show you with the jack. Okay, so now we're in position, and I hope you guys could see this. Okay, I'm going to hold the camera. Okay, so that's a pretty good view. So as I raise the saddle, you see what happens? Okay, the saddle right here is automatically going to crush the plastic right at its mounting point. That's the issue. And you can see the overhang of the saddle. So now, if you have the jacking rails, you're going to push the jack further in, and you're going to jack up from that point, you know, going forward. Okay? Like right there. And then you eliminate the saddle of the jack, crushing your pinch weld and the plastic skirt mounting area. Okay, and it just makes a hell of a lot of sense. And usually when I jack up any of my cars, I put hockey pucks on the jack saddle just to give it a little bit more clearance and height, and it just makes things a little bit easier. So I'm going to get these things bolted on. I'm not going to shoot the bolt on. It's so basic and pretty straightforward. There are pre-existing bolts in the chassis right here and in the front of the car. You basically just undo these with a 15 millimeter and line them up, zip them in, and you're good to go. Alright guys, the jacking rails are installed. As you can see, they hang down maybe 1/8 of an inch further than the pinch weld right here. Okay, so FYI, there are driver and passenger side specific. If you don't know that, you're going to go absolutely bananas. The longer one seems to go on the driver's side. So guys, we're going to slide the jack under the car. Make sure the saddle is lower. Now if you guys could see, it's nowhere near touching the plastic skirt. I just have a couple of leather pads on the saddle of the jack, and it is perfectly out of the way from crushing the factory pinch weld and the factory lower rocker panel skirt area. Okay, so these things are a must-have, and like I said, they're low profile. You barely see them. If you don't even know they're there, you're not going to even notice them. And I chose the red powder coat just because it matches the red car. Even though the colors are different, doesn't really matter. It's on the bottom of the car, nobody's looking. But it's one of those things, guys, you really got to consider this if you're going to be messing around with your car, doing any work with you and your friends. You know, anything from oil changes, tire rotations, brakes, suspensions. This is pretty much one of those things that it's, you know, you could do away without it, but chances are there's going to be that one time where the jack or jack stand slips and it crushes your pinch weld and chips off the paint, and then you're going to get some rust in between the two seams, and you're going to probably regret not having a set of jacking rails. So I highly suggest the BMR low profile jacking rails. I think they're awesome, very well made, like I explained in the beginning of the video. Like I said, you guys got jacking rails, post your feedback below. I'm sure there's going to be thousands of people that are going to be watching this eventually, and you know, some guys are going to favor one brand or the other. Like I said, it's totally up to you. I just think these are the better ones to get all around, and I like the way they're made a little bit better. They're heavier, they feel stronger, and I think they're a better value overall. So BMR suspension, check them out if you don't know who they are, and you can't go wrong with any of those products. Tell them you saw it here first. autofanatic@yahoo.com. Take care.